and welcome to Optics, featured artists in the Griffin Gallery at WinCam. I'm Krista Dix, the Executive Director of the Griffin Museum of Photography, and we're so pleased to have you with us for a conversation with Andrea Zampitella. The Griffin Museum is based in Winchester, including our satellite gallery here at WinCam. Zampitella's exhibition, In the Blink of an Eye, brings us all on a visual path sharing the intimate bonds of family, community, and childhood. As Andrea states, capturing the complexities of childhood and documenting the messy and tender moments of parenthood. Andrea Zampitella attended the Mass College of Art, where she earned an MFA in Interdisciplinary Studies, a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art Education and Studio for Interrelated Media, and a minor in Small Metals. Zampitella's creative reach touches upon sculpture, performance, video, sound design, and photography. In her interdisciplinary approach, she creates platforms for other artists to collaborate with each other. Zampitella is exhibited in galleries and public spaces around Boston, including the DeCordova Museum and Sculpture Park, Rose Kennedy Greenway Conservancy, the Boston Children's Museum, Axiom Gallery, Mobius Gallery, and the Griffin Museum of Photography. Currently, she's a library and media specialist at Winchester High School. As an educator, Andrea promotes the cross-pollination of disciplines in her classroom, encouraging students to invent and develop experimental art forms. Welcome, Andrea.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. So now let's talk a little bit about In the Blink of an Eye. Talk to me a little bit about your creative journey, about how you found photography and how you use it to tell these beautiful stories.
Yeah, so I actually am fairly new to photography. I started during COVID. I was home, like most people. I was home with my kids, and I felt very disconnected from the art world that I am normally very active in. So I found a class online. Actually someone that I was looking to hire for my wedding, a photographer out of Rhode Island. She was teaching a class called Editing for Artists, and it was a color theory photography class. And
nothing like starting in the deep stuff.
Well, exactly. So you were actually supposed to have a mastery of manual settings on your camera, which I did not have at all. But I emailed her and told her I wanted to try it, and it motivated me to learn how to use those settings and how to operate my camera quickly. And I fell in love with Roxanne Bryant is the name of the teacher, and the colors in her photos are so beautiful that I wanted to make photos like her.
So how did you expand? What was the first set of images that you took, and then moving into, when did you have kids, or did you have kids already?
I had kids already, and I was searching for a way to make art while taking care of my kids. And that was challenging, especially during COVID when there wasn't much to do outside of the house. So I took the leap and took that class, and it opened up a whole community for me, which I wasn't expecting. And a lot of the photographers that I met were also mothers, which was funny, and artists. And so I just kept taking classes. And so what was the first, I just started taking pictures of my kids around the house. And they were pretty bad. They were just regular photos. And
well,
then,
how did the kids feel about that? With you wandering around with the camera, it was COVID, there was things happening, that like everything was so compressed. How did the kids react to you carrying around a camera all the time with them?
After a while, I don't think they even noticed that I had the camera. Because now I don't leave without my camera, and I'm pretty much constantly taking pictures of them. So it's become like an extension of my body.
Oh, that's good. So
I don't think they see it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I love about this work, and your work first came to my attention when you submitted for Our Town, our summer project, which we have all over Winchester between June and October. And you submitted the work, and I was mesmerized. I really just loved the way that you captured the emotion and the moment of kids, of how we see or how we want to see. I mean, each image is like a fairy tale or some type of story that we can all relate to. So how did you navigate that vision, that composition?
Well, there are a couple of things that happened. I took a class with Summer Murdoch. She's a photographer, and it was called The Magic of Light. And her class was about using all different kinds of light in creative ways, and really embracing like darkness all the way up to like lens flares. And so I was able to really understand how to work with the light. And once that kind of clicked, I was always looking at a composition in terms of like where the light
Right, because it's all natural light. There's no flash to any of these.
Yeah, no, I still haven't really figured out how to deal with flash. But yeah, so it's all natural light. So I really look for situations where my kids are in interesting light to begin with. My oldest daughter, it kind of gets into some of the things that I try to do with her. Like if I notice, or if like I've told her like, oh, it's golden hour, and she'll go, Mom, it's golden hour. Like she gets excited about some of these situations where there's like pretty or like interesting shadows or stuff like that. She'll actually point them out and be like, Mom, you need to get you need to get this.
Yeah.
So she's kind of a partner in that way with me.
Do they ever stop and say, this is how I want to be photographed?
Yeah, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do.
And do you take the shot and keep it, or do you take the shot and...
It depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a photo out in the gallery of like a square of my daughter sitting in like a square of light. And I forget what I called those, like puddles of light or something like that I called. And she was like, Mom, I found a puddle of light. I found one. And so she like went and sat down because she noticed the light there. So yeah, so it's definitely collaboration.
One of the things that's hardest about photography is portraiture. And when you think about it in terms of why would someone want to go look at a photo of someone else's children or someone else's parents, it's harder to connect to. But there's, and a lot of people will do portraiture where the faces are not visible. But you've given us this beautiful way to connect to your children, to remember our own childhood or to remember what that moment might have been like for us. How do you edit your photos to find those moments? If you're taking photos all the time, when do you know you have the right photo?
It's funny, they easily like pop out to me.
Is it more about the composition, or do you remember those moments?
Sometimes I will like say, I'll remember them, like the seagull moment, stuff like that. I am like, oh, I know that's gonna be pretty cool, and I'll have it on like a rapid speed. So I'm like, I'm hoping that
You'll
one
make
of
sure
these...
to get more than one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not shooting with film.
No.
You're definitely shooting digitally.
Digital. Yeah. Sometimes I manipulate the photo in post to sort of give it that like a surreal effect. Like I'll exaggerate the light or the color a little bit. Like one of the photos out in the gallery is in like a really foggy morning, and those photos before I brought them into post were like very gray, and then when I turned the white balance up.
I was going to say those are the two that are the warm tone shadows in the front. Yeah, those are beautiful.
Oh,
There's something about them that allows us to step into those characters and remember that moment while we all remember our time in the fog. Talk to me a little bit about the messiness of parenthood, like the baby in the pile of socks. I mean, we all have a pile of socks. I happen to have a cat that lays in the middle of my socks, but you found a way to engage every sock and every color of the rainbow.
That was just my pile of mismatched socks that I emptied onto like my rug, and my daughter just jumped right in there. So, yeah, I mean.
But you had the wherewithal to capture that moment.
Yeah.
Right? There was a camera somewhere nearby and you said, oh, this is the moment. This is, the light is perfect. The angle of the socks are perfect. I think that the composition of that particular image, we all can connect to in a way.
Like I said, my camera's always with me just in case there's a moment like that. And actually when I leave the house, if I don't have my camera, I feel like I'm missing something, or that like, oh no, what if like a deer walks in front of me down the street, like, and I don't have my camera with me, like I'm just kind of always looking for any moment that I can capture.
Talk a little bit about your process of, as someone that is looking to create memories and moments, not only for you, but for your kids and for the general public. For someone that isn't a photographer, do you have any pathways for someone to see your images and learn from them or grow from them? What would be your advice to someone that wants to take photos of their kids in a different way?
So when I was learning how to drive, my parents had like a car parked in our driveway that was like a standard. It was a stick shift. And they were like, well, if you can learn how to drive it, then you can have it. And I feel like I took the same approach with photography. It's like you just have to dive in, even if you're uncomfortable or afraid, and and just learn it. And so when I first started, it's like I didn't really know how to even operate my camera, but once I became like comfortable with that, it opened up a whole world for me. And now I don't even have to think about like the settings. I just automatically change the settings based off the situation I'm in and what I want to capture. So that's the first step, is just showing up and doing the work and trusting the process, because you don't know where it's going to lead you, and that's like the beauty of it. I've met so many people by just taking some photo classes online, and it's really those connections that are the most important for me, that I was really craving.
The shared critique of, or the shared bonds of, we're trying to make this work and these images are coming through us, but we have no one to talk to about them. I mean, especially during COVID when it was all on Zoom, how did you find that community?
Well, I found the classes online, and a bunch of photographers all got together, and like in the classes you have like Zoom critiques and stuff like that. So it felt really good to have people to share my art with and to hear their feedback. And I'm used to that kind of thing because I was an artist, but I never did photography, but it's a similar experience. So it really it helped me get out of like the rut that I was in, but not making and not understanding how I could even make art with and also be a mother. Like I couldn't figure that out in my head. Like, how can I go to my studio and watch my kids at the same time? But I guess the camera really let me do both, which I needed at the time.
So one of my favorite images in the exhibition is the two girls having a conversation, and one of them is clearly excited about what she's being told. Do you have any idea what that conversation is about?
I have
or
no
how that
idea. I have no idea what they're talking about, and they would not disclose any.
Not?
No, it was top secret.
Loctite?
Yeah, Loctite.
So let's talk a little bit about how your children interact not only with each other, but with the family and community that you also bring into your photographs. Because it's not just your daughters, correct?
Yeah, it's really anyone that I interact with. I just bring the camera with me wherever I go. So it could be my parents or my husband or birthday parties that they're at or play dates or anywhere. Strangers sometimes.
Let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite images in the show. It's your daughter in the pool, in the water. There's something so peaceful about that particular image, that she's floating, she's got her eyes closed. It's like there is something happening there that she's experiencing all on her own. How did that image come about?
That image was actually taken in our backyard, in our hot tub, and everybody had left the hot tub and she did not want to get out. So she was just kind of floating there, and I grabbed my camera and from like the deck above just took the photo of her in the water.
Because when we see that image, we think about ourselves floating on this open lake or open sea, and it's not showing a horizon line at all.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons that I really enjoy that image, is that I can place myself into that tiny little body that I used to have long, long ago, and feel like her in that moment of just quiet bliss.
Yeah, that's why I like that one too, because you don't really know where she is. And that was definitely intentional to get rid of the background.
Yeah, but I think at a certain point it also doesn't matter, right? Because it's about the emotional connection that we can all feel from that quiet, or the look on her face of complete joy in floating in that space. That's where you become a master at your craft, is that you bring all of that emotional capacity and the emotion of that moment into the frame for us.
My work before photography was very different than it is now, so I feel like I have two identities in some way.
Well, talk to me a little bit about the three-dimensional work and the sculpture work. What moves you forward when you're working on a sculptural piece in a way that is different from a photograph? Do you actually see them differently?
Not really. I mean, I think the process for me is similar. That I'm like, what is this work asking for? What am I trying to say with it? I ask similar questions no matter what I'm making. So I think, what does it need? What am I going for? Like all the questions that I would ask when I'm making a sculpture or a video or anything, I kind of apply to my work as a photographer too. So,
are the kids now? Do the kids have cameras? Are they photographing you?
Yeah.
Why don't we see those images?
Yeah, we should see those images. Yeah, they do have cameras.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing your time and your creativity, for bringing us into your child's lives. In the Blink of an Eye is such a gorgeous document of youth and family and love and the connection between siblings. It's just a beautiful way to spend an afternoon. And I'm grateful. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to work with you. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Optics, featured artist in the Griffin Gallery at WinCam. Andrea Zampitella's series, In the Blink of an Eye, is on the walls of WinCam until April 21st and is free and open to the public during WinCam's regular hours of operation. WinCam is located at 32 Swanton Street here in Winchester. For more information on the Griffin Gallery or WinCam or other programs offered through the Griffin Museum, please log on to our website at griffinmuseum.org. Thanks for watching.